Hi guys, welcome to InkSync and this is Neil, and today we are going to work on a painting technique because I was extremely bored since morning and I really didn't want to do a video on the sketching and the shading because it's a little dull, let's just agree on it. So what is gouache painting? Now for gouache painting we do need a certain kind of paint, and most of you will get this paint available in the market anytime you want because it's just plain poster color. So we add white with all the colors and get a denser or lighter stroke of colors, but at the same time we don't work with the transparency as much as we do in the watercolor, like the transparent watercolor. So gouache painting technique is basically watercolor where we don't leave it transparent, and that's it. So let's start the process, shall we?
So I have started drawing my objects which is kept in front of me. I have a bottle and one is a red apple and one is a green apple. I have imagined the central vertical axis and drawn the cap of the bottle and the rest of it one after the other. Symmetry is one of the most important parts in our still life because it maintains the balance and the proportions, and it just looks good if you maintain the symmetry, especially when you are doing a geometric object. One more important thing about drawing the drafting of the first object shapes with your pencil is that when you draw it, don't draw it too hard. The lines needs to be very soft, and they should not be seen through your paint layer. When you are doing a still life composition which is kept in front of you, always start with the background first because it reduces the workable area on your canvas or paper, and once you finish it off it will feel like you have done most of the part, and there are like very small areas which needs to be covered with paint. So just make sure that the color is a little variant because you're not only applying the paint, but this paint layer is actually called the middle tone. And in the middle tone, if you don't make it too light, that's like very good, and if you make it a little bit darker, that's okay, because in the opaque painting we just make sure that we are moving from the dark to light. While doing objects in the gouache technique, which is basically opaque treatment, and there are like no transparencies in any place of the objects or the background, I prefer a certain technique which is called la prima, which means that whenever you see a color in a certain space, you just try to make it in your palette and you put it. So there is no mixing on the paper, but you actually have all the colors in your palette and you are deviating from one color to another, mixing one color to another, and in this process we just end up saving a lot of time. And it's just easy to imagine that way because most of the layers will be done only you work through your dark portions and the light portions and trying to bring out the three-dimensional shape of the object. On a professional level, it's very important that you try avoiding using black directly. In that case, we can just make sure that we have a very dark color by mixing like green with very dark red like crimson, or we can use like burnt sienna and Prussian blue, mix them together, you get a very dark color. Or you can mix each of these primary colors apart from the yellow and we get simultaneous dark colors. We don't really use black that much, but when we do, we just use it very less because black makes a subject stand out from the background or any other deviations of colors, and it looks really stiff, and the stiffness is not really what we want in our painting. while doing opaque painting, I presume you guys are already watching this, and you have already made one observation that when I'm applying the colors are very thick and they are like being pasted on top of each other and they're mixing with each other. We really don't use a lot of water while doing gouache. At least I don't use a lot of water while doing my gouache paintings. But at the same time, we do use water when the brush is like too dry, or when we are like dragging over the surface, it tends to leave ragged brush marks. Then we just use water to soften the brush or the bristles part, and we also use a little bit of water, like we dip the brush into the water and then we just use a cotton rag to take out all the water from it, and then we use that brush to blend two colors, or where they are like very rigid lines where the colors are not blending with each other. There we use a little bit of water to just ease things up. I'm going to stop painting with this object group, as I believe that this is one of the stages which can be called as complete, but I'm sure like it's not really. And it almost took me like a little over 3 hours. But you can ignore a little bit of detailing of the drapery if you don't like have a lot of time in your examinations or any type of exercises which is like time bound.
So the still life is more or less finished. I'm sure there are like places which I'll be developing more slowly and steadily, but this is like one of the average works which you can complete within like 3 to 4 hours, working at a stretch. So please subscribe and like this video, because I really want to work more and show you guys my processes. And let's see each other in the next video. Bye.